Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going exploring the Devil card.
Ooh, sounds intriguing.
It is, but we're looking at it through a really unique lens. Water alchemy. We'll be drawing from the text, the Devil, transforming shadows in water alchemy.
I love that perspective. The devil card can be so intense.
Right, like the first time I saw that horned figure in those chains, I kind of freaked out a little. But this text, it really flips the script on how we usually view the card.
It does. It really reframes those chains. They actually symbolize our potential to break free from whatever's holding us back.
Exactly. It's not about external evil, but about facing those inner devils we all have.
It's all about those fears, limiting beliefs, those patterns that keep us stuck. That's the real devil we're talking about here.
So let's talk about the imagery. What about those chained figures? What do they really represent?
Well, they symbolize the ways we limit ourselves, often unconsciously. It could be anything. Clinging to a relationship because you're terrified of being alone, or maybe staying in a job that makes you miserable because you don't think you can do anything else.
Wow, okay, that makes a lot of sense. But what about the horned figure itself? That's pretty intimidating, you have to admit.
It is, but think of it as those primal fears, our darker impulses, the stuff we don't usually like to admit to, but hey, it's all part of being human, right?
Right. So the key is not to deny those parts of ourselves, but to try and understand them.
Absolutely. And that's where water alchemy comes into play.
Yeah.
Just like water can, carve through rock over time.
Right.
Facing those shadows, it's tough, but it can be so freeing in the end.
The text makes a really cool comparison. It says that water dissolving impurities, it's like us confronting and releasing those hidden negative parts of ourselves.
Oh, I like that.
Right, like a spiritual detox.
Totally. And water has always been connected to cleansing and purification in so many traditions. Think about ritual baths or baptisms, or even just like the feeling of washing your hands after a tough day.
It is a reset, isn't it?
It is. Water just has this incredible power to wash away negativity.
So we've got the Devil card pointing out our shadow side, and then water acting as this purifying force. But where does tarot fit into all this in general, I mean?
I see tarot as like a roadmap. It helps us see those light and shadow parts of ourselves.
Okay.
And the Devil card, it specifically shows us where those fears or limiting beliefs might be holding us back from really growing.
That's so interesting. And then water alchemy comes in with practical ways to actually do something about it. Those rituals in the text were so fascinating.
Oh yeah, the rituals, like using mirrors and bowls of water for shadow work.
Yes. It's like looking at ourselves on multiple levels, literally and metaphorically, to face those hidden parts of ourselves.
There are so many ways to work with that too.
Can we talk about some specific examples of those rituals? I'd love to hear more about how they actually work.
Absolutely. One really powerful ritual involves a bowl of water and a mirror.
Okay.
You sit with both and you just observe any discomfort or resistance that comes up. It can be intense, but wow, it's amazing what surfaces when you just allow yourself to sit with your reflection and the water like that.
Wow, that sounds really powerful. Have you ever tried that particular ritual? What was it like for you?
Water, it's like this amazing mirror, right? It reflects not just how we look, but also our inner world. We were just talking about that ritual from the text, using a bowl of water and a mirror for shadow work. What is it about that combination that makes it so powerful, do you think?
Well, how often do we really truly look at ourselves? And I don't mean just physically, I mean emotionally, spiritually. This ritual, it forces us to confront what we might be hiding from, those parts of ourselves.
That makes a lot of sense. It does sound kind of scary, though, to be honest. Is there anything we can do to make it feel a bit safer, maybe? Absolutely. The key is like approaching it with curiosity and self-compassion. Don't go in there to judge yourself. It's more about just noticing what comes up without getting swept away by it.
Okay, so like practically speaking, what would someone actually do during this ritual?
So find a quiet place, maybe light a candle if that feels good to you, and set up your bowl of water and the mirror. Then just take a few deep breaths, gaze into both, and really pay attention to your body. Where do you feel tension? What emotions are coming up for you? Don't try to change anything, just observe. Just be present with it.
That's helpful. It feels less intimidating now. So we've talked about using water for like reflection and confronting those shadowed aspects. What about those rituals that focus on actually releasing what we uncover? What does the text say about that?
That's where it gets really exciting. There are a few rituals in there that are all about helping us let go of those fears, the limiting beliefs, and those patterns that aren't doing us any favors anymore.
Like the unbinding ritual. I remember that one. Sounded pretty intense.
Yeah, it can be, but it's also incredibly freeing. The idea is to use a cord tied around your wrist to represent a limiting belief or a bad habit or something you want to let go of. You soak the cord in water while you're meditating, focusing on releasing that belief. Imagine it dissolving into the water.
Wow, so you're like symbolically cutting those ties. I can see how that would be a powerful way to solidify that intention to let go.
It is. You're combining action with intention, which makes it even more potent. And the water, as always, is like this conduit for that transformation.
That makes me think about the role of visualization in a lot of these rituals. It seems super important.
Oh, it is. Visualization, it's an amazing tool for working with energy. You know, when we really picture something, when we visualize it clearly, we're actually directing energy towards that outcome. So when we visualize our fears dissolving in the water, we're using our own mental and emotional energy to actually help make that release happen.
That's amazing. It's like we're not just passively waiting for change, we're actually taking part in it.
Exactly. We're actively participating. That's a big part of what makes these rituals so powerful. They work on all these different levels, you know, physical, emotional, and energetic.
Yeah.
Which amplifies their power to, create real transformation.
So far, we've talked about reflection and release using water. Are there any other ways that water can be used when we're working with those shadow selves?
Definitely. There's this one ritual in the text that's really helpful when you need a more intense release. It's called the emotional purge.
Oh, wow. That sounds a bit scary.
It can be, but in a good way. What you do is you immerse your hands in flowing water. It could be a stream or a river or even just your bathtub.
Okay.
And you actually speak out loud the fears, the things that are bothering you, the obsessions, anything you want to let go of.
So you're saying them aloud as the water flows over your hands?
Yeah. And as you name each thing, you just visualize it being swept away by the water. You can really feel it being carried away, leaving you cleansed and purified.
That's a very powerful image. It really shows how water can act as a conduit to carry away those burdens.
It really speaks to that power of water to just cleanse and renew everything. Just like a river constantly washes things away, we can use water to clear out our emotional and energetic baggage and make room for new beginnings.
We've talked a lot about how water is this amazing tool for transformation, but we haven't really talked about how to approach water with the respect it deserves.
You're right. That's super important.
So is there anything we should keep in mind, when we're starting to experiment with these rituals?
Yes. Approach the water with a sense of reverence, a sense of gratitude. Before you begin, take a moment to acknowledge the water's presence. Maybe say a little prayer, give thanks, or just set your intention for the ritual.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like you wouldn't just walk into someone's home without saying hello, so we shouldn't treat water any differently, right?
Right. And water's precious. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
After your ritual, think about how you dispose of the water. Pour it back into the earth if you can, or down the drain, but do it with a sense of gratitude.
I love that. Treating water like a partner, not just a tool.
Speaking of partners, remember, you don't have to do any of this alone. If it feels overwhelming, if you're dealing with intense stuff, reach out to someone, a friend, a therapist, a spiritual advisor. They can help you process what comes up.
It's good to remember that. Working with those shadows can be tough, and it's definitely easier with support. I am curious, though, if we're working with such personal stuff, how much should we be sharing with others? Is there a line?
It's a good question. It really depends on the person. There's no right or wrong answer. Trust your intuition, honor your own boundaries.
So it's about finding that balance between having support and also respecting the sacredness of our inner work.
Exactly. And remember, even if you don't share all the specifics, just having someone there for you can be so powerful.
All these rituals are so fascinating, but I'm wondering, what would you say to someone who's listening and thinking, okay, this sounds great, but where do I even begin? Is there a good ritual to start with, one that feels approachable for a newbie?
That's a good question. Honestly, the best ritual is whatever speaks to you. But if you want something gentle but powerful to start with, I'd recommend the cleansing bath ritual.
Oh, that's a good one. It's easy to do, and who doesn't love a good bath, right?
Right. It's combining self-care with shadow work, which is amazing. Plus, you can customize it.
Well, like, how can someone make a cleansing bath their own and really focus on that shadow work aspect?
The text suggests using herbs, essential oils, or salts with certain properties. For instance, if you're working on letting go of fear, add some lavender or chamomile to help you relax. Or, if you're focusing on self-love and acceptance, rose petals or rose oil can be really nice.
I love that. It's like taking an ordinary bath and giving it a whole new layer of meaning.
Exactly. And don't forget visualization and affirmations while you're soaking. Imagine the water washing away any negativity, fears, self-doubt. Repeat affirmations that align with what you want to achieve, like I'm worthy of love and acceptance, or I'm letting go of everything that doesn't serve me anymore.
It's such a simple way to work with water alchemy, something everyone can do.
It is, and the best part is, you can adapt these rituals to fit you. Don't be afraid to experiment. The key is just to have an open heart and be willing to explore.
I feel like we've just scratched the surface of this whole topic, but this has been so insightful. I have a much better understanding now of how we can use water to support our journey of self-discovery and healing.
Me too.
But before we wrap up, anything else we should keep in mind as we start experimenting with this stuff? Any final words of wisdom?
Remember, shadow work is a journey. It's not about achieving some perfect state of light or getting rid of the dark. It's about integrating it all.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that all those parts of ourselves, the light and the shadow, they make us who we are. And when we can embrace all of it, that's when we really step into our power.
That's such an important reminder. It's not about denying those shadow parts. It's about making them part of a fuller, truer version of ourselves.
And water can be such a powerful ally in that process. With its ability to cleanse, purify, and transform, it can help us every step of the way.
This has been such an awesome conversation. I feel like we've given our listeners a lot to think about and some really cool tools to work with.
Yeah, absolutely.
So before we go, is there one thing you really hope our listeners take away from this whole deep dive? What would it be?
That the Devil card isn't something to be afraid of. It's not a bad omen. It's actually an invitation to go on this amazing journey of self-discovery, to face your fears, to embrace every part of yourself, and to really unlock your full potential.
And by using the power of water alchemy, we can make that journey even more powerful and come out stronger on the other side.
That's it. Remember, you have the power to break free from anything that's holding you back, whether it's inside or outside of you. Embrace your shadows, work with the incredible energy of water, and become the best version of yourself.
This has been such an amazing exploration of the Devil card and water alchemy. I hope you've all enjoyed it as much as I have. And until next time, keep exploring those shadowy depths, keep asking questions, and remember, you have the power to transform absolutely anything.
All right, welcome back everyone for the last part of our deep dive on the Devil card and water alchemy.
It's been quite a journey, hasn't it?
It really has. We've talked about what this card really means, beyond all the scary stuff, and how water can help us deal with those shadow parts it brings up.
Yeah, and now we're going to get into some more juicy insights from the text and see how we can actually bring this all into our everyday lives.
One thing I keep thinking about is that idea of embracing our devils. It sounds so powerful.
It is powerful.
But I feel like it could be easy to misunderstand,
Oh, definitely. It's not about, being a bad person or anything.
Right.
It's more about recognizing that all those parts of ourselves, the fear, the anger, even the insecurities, it's all just part of being human. Yeah, the text was saying those shadow parts aren't actually our enemies.
Right. They're not.
They're more like that paths to self-discovery waiting to be explored.
Exactly. Think about it. What happens when we spend all our time trying to push those parts away,
Yep.
What if we could use that energy in a different way? What if we could actually use it to grow?
That's such a good point. It's like we can take those parts of ourselves back and make them part of who we really are, a fuller version of ourselves.
And that's where water comes in, with its amazing power to help us cleanse and purify and really integrate all those different aspects.
So how can we actually start using all this in our daily lives? It can feel a bit overwhelming, to be honest. How do we even begin to confront those shadow parts regularly?
You don't have to do it all at once.
Yeah.
Even little things consistently can make a big difference. Just start by paying attention to your thoughts, how you react to things throughout the day.
So when that inner critic pops up and starts telling us we're not good enough or whatever.
Exactly. Instead of getting caught up in that negative self-talk, try to look at it with a bit of curiosity.
Okay.
Ask yourself, what's this fear trying to tell me? Is there something I need to pay attention to here?
Instead of seeing those shadows as the enemy, we can see them as messengers trying to guide us.
Right. They can point us in the direction we need to go to understand ourselves better.
And we can use water to help us with all of this.
Absolutely. Even simple things like taking a mindful shower or bath, really visualizing those negative thoughts and feelings being washed away.
Right. It's like infusing those everyday routines with a whole new level of meaning.
And don't forget to be thankful even for those tough times that force us to face those shadows.
Because sometimes those are the times we learn and grow the most.
Exactly. It's all part of the journey, every bit of it.
So, as we wrap up this whole deep dive, what's the one thing you really hope our listeners will walk away with?
The Devil card, it's not a sign of bad things to come, you know? It's not something to be afraid of. It's more like an invitation. An invitation to get to know yourself better, to look at your fears, to see yourself as a whole person, and to really unlock all that potential you have inside.
And using the power of water and those rituals, we can make that journey even more powerful.
That's right. Remember, you have the power to break free from anything holding you back, inside or out. Embrace those shadow parts, work with water, and step into your true self.
This has been such an incredible deep dive into the Devil card and water alchemy. Thank you all so much for joining us. Keep exploring, keep those questions coming, and remember, you truly have the power to transform anything,